Alright, another video with Scott, and you know he's slapping. Got my flashlight. I have wetlands here in Staten. I have less than an hour to explore them before the cops are up my ass. Let's go check out the wetlands over here. It's kind of well manicured back here. I don't go back here too often, but it's pretty cool. But it's kind of the backdrop of like what we're going to be talking about. And what we're talking about is, I am a gamer, I am a geek, okay? All my life, we're talking Atari 2600 on up, but I'm like a stealth game guy first. So we're going to be talking about stuff like Tenchi Stealth Assassin, Splinter Cell, Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear in general. Although I'm not sure like the NES was anything like a stealth game, but more like a trial and error action game. But that's neither here nor there. And like a Thief on PC, never played that. I'm like a console guy. My entire family's pretty much always been that. I'm not like a noob to like the PC thing, because I do have like people in my life, in my past, that let me kind of mess around with their stuff, and did a lot of role play RPG games on the PC. But at any rate, there's probably a few stealth-based games I haven't mentioned, but it's not because I'm ignorant necessarily, but there's a few of them. But there's one I didn't mention, and that's today's topic, and that's Manhunt. The notorious Manhunt. Man, look at these, like, are these like super moles? Damn. Anyways, I had to like walk like right up over the top of that like a fucking track hurdle. Here's another one. God damn, man, these things are powerful animals. At any rate, Manhunt. Controversial, you know. United States senators wanted to ban that shit. Over in the UK, like a kid killed like his family or something because he was like infatuated with it. I don't know, but it is hardcore, and it is like snuff driven, or at least has those elements into it. So if that isn't your thing, I underdig. But if you want to talk about the core mechanics of Manhunt, like the stealth mechanics, they're rather unique, and I don't know if I've ever seen them in another game, because if you sneak up behind somebody, you don't just get to like kill them. There's a point system where you gotta wait for it, and then you can deliver and get like a higher rating on the kills. So it heightens attention to like levels like you just don't see in other stealth games. Like you're not gonna see that type of system in Tenchu. You sneak up, kill them, get the rewards for doing that, you know. And God, like Metal Gear Solid, like there's stealth elements in that, but that's still like, I don't know, like you're fully prepped for like a hardcore action game there. Kind of like Splinter Cell a little bit, but Splinter Cell ain't prepared for the action sequences its developers brought into play, even though that's my favorite franchise ever. But we're not talking about Splinter Cell or my favorite franchise ever. We're talking about one of my, I don't know, top 5, maybe top 3 games of all time, Manhunt. So we're talking about like, you know, you creep up behind somebody and you hold down the button, and the longer you do it, like the greater like the point system is at the end of the game, like a 5-star rating. Okay, but you don't have all the time in the world either to get that. And I never beat that game with like a full like 5-star rating across the board or anything. But there's cats that can easily do that. But that's not like a game you really want to just rush through. And some people would be like, well, you're sick if you want to like just kind of sit there and savor like the evil and how malevolent and like vile that friggin' game is. Plus Starkweather, like a great villain. And he's a great villain, not just like you could consider him like maybe like a generic villain, even with his dialogue. But the thing is, he's in your ear the whole time, and that's unique. You don't see him till the end, but you get to know him pretty good. And like all the voice acting is like phenomenal in that game. And your marks, these gang members, like these corrupt cops under Starkweather's control, like all these NPCs like you're designed to kill, they have like, God, dare I say this, the best NPC voice acting ever for a video game. Once again, you might not like the content. You might not like the game type. But voice acting, it's kind of hard to like, you might not like what they're saying or what they're, doing. But the acting, man, jeez. By the way, so this is like the state and wetlands. Highway 22 is like right over there. So, yeah, not too much to look at right now. But this path is like awesome. Next to nobody here ever. No dog walkers, no hobos like me. Not even any night skulkers like me. Night stalker, night skulker. So, also the story of Manhunt matters a lot because you're immersed in the story. The story is what matters when you're playing these games. You get immersed into it. You're playing that character, and a lot of people can't understand it. But, I mean, if you watched 8mm with Nicolas Cage, okay? You got the late, great James Gandolfini in there, Mr. Tony Soprano and all that. That movie's hardcore, okay? But it's not as hardcore as this. But you might not like to sit through Manhunt as much as you might like to, watch Joaquin Phoenix or whatever. But it's hardcore. There is a niche. And when you execute these cats with your stealth kills, they're unbelievably brutal. It was called like the most graphic, goriest game ever. And yeah, maybe I don't have a lot of dog in that fight for back then. But then another game came out and it was called Manhunt 2. Enough said, because, you're just up an ante with like the violence and gore there, and they did a great job. That's another game for another time, but we're talking about the G.O.A.T. I originally played that on PS2. Friggin' awesome. And I still had like the case for the game. But I opened it up and the game's gone, so that's probably in the PS2, like I sold a long time ago. But what's cool is, like, the booklet is unlike any other booklet I've ever seen for like a video game, because it's like a snuff film catalog. And they really stuck to it and like played that role through and through all the way through there. So like even the booklet is like a thing all by itself that you can appreciate. So we're talking about the story and stuff, and man, I gotta say, when I originally bought that game and I slapped it in, I wasn't feeling it, not the first few levels. I thought it was clunky, and I was like, really, you're just going up against gang members talking shit? But then it started shifting. Now, where are we at here? I don't want to go through there or around the neighborhood. We're gonna go back through. So, yeah, you play James Earl Cash. What a dope name. Is there a doper name out there? I don't know. Let me know. But I'm thinking about like renaming myself that. And at any rate, you you're like an inmate on death row, and there's like a live execution, and they fake your death so they could throw you into this game, this manhunt, where they're gonna hunt you down and kill you, and there's cameras all over the place. They're gonna record it and make a lot of money off of your death and whoever you kill. And Starkweather is like this filthy rich, like evil abomination of a human being that orchestrates all of it, and even the cops are under his control. They're his thralls. There's even like an encounter later on where they start losing control of you, and there's like a bunch of shit talking. So it's intense, but you start getting empowered, and after you get out of the first few levels, you realize that it's just not you like killing a bunch of game members. It starts getting much more intense. The level design starts increasing in diversity, and all the levels are awesome outside of the first 3, which are kind of generic, I must admit. But then you start getting to know like the other main character on your side, which is the TV journalist that's been kind of documenting everything Starkweather does. And she's onto something, and he knows it, so like she's fucked too, and you work side by side. Even like there's an escort mission with her, which can be a little bit annoying, as all escort missions are, but this one's dope. Once you figure out like the parameters that you can't be away from her too long before she freaks out, you can move her around and really do your thing. And she's a great character, man. So you got that, and then she's helping you out, and slowly but surely you figure out like all of these cops and like military and ex-military people, all these scumbags working for Starkweather, man, they're all sick and deranged. But there's one problem. They introduce another character that just steals the show, and it slam dunks Manhunt as just, I don't care if it's a video game or not, one of the greatest horror stories ever, and it's Pigsy. This creature locked up in Starkweather's attic that's like part pig. At first I thought like he's wearing a pig's head. Well, goddamn, that would be sick as fuck enough. But he's really just kind of part pig, part human, and his junk's hanging out and stuff, and like the security personnel are supposed to be feeding him, and they hate doing that. He breaks free, and he's got a chainsaw, and it's like this pig dude with a chainsaw running around, hacking them up. Now Starkweather starts panicking because you're on his shit. You're at like his mansion where he's at, and that's where Pigsy is too. So now he's caught in this vice of like the perfect killer in you, which he made, and this like horrific slasher villain out of the depths of hell. And like the crescendo is like you pretty much slaughter Starkweather's ranks, get up into his mansion, have it out with Pigsy, which is like the Pigsy level is like horrific. That level is like might be the scariest level I've ever played in video game history. You're so vulnerable at that point. You don't have any of your weapons or anything. But you toast him, and then it's you and Starkweather. And it's a great, like, gory, vengeful, vindictive, like, follow it all the way to, like, fruition. Like, you break into his quarters, you hack him up with a chainsaw and, like, stuff the chainsaw on his face or something. And then it cuts back to the journalist basically letting everybody know like what happened and what you did. So that by itself, like that's a 10 out of 10 for me. But there's a little bit more. There was like content that was cutting room floor stuff with the journalist, and it's on YouTube. God, and it's like 10 minutes long, and it's just her being interrogated after all the events. And all these corrupt cops and stuff are like, what do we do now? Starkweather's dead. What the fuck do we do now? And you got this journalist blowing everything open. What do we do? Do we side with her and be like, yeah, Starkweather is evil? But if there's an investigation, they're going to know that we were involved, you know, and they're interrogating her, and the acting on that was like, it sent chills up and down my spine, the acting on that. Like, for real. Because they want information that's going to cover their ass potentially, not to get to the bottom of it, because they know they're evil. They are back in Starkweather. They know what happened. Everything's being broadcasted. Video cameras all over the place to record it and to begin with, and you know, like the radio and all that. So that really freaked me out when I caught that on YouTube. The actress that was continued to play her role as that journalist. That was creepy, them interrogating the shit out of her, because her entire like dialogue and responses were off the hook, man. They were so realistic. Like, she knew that these guys were evil and corrupt, and they were gonna try and fuck her over. So she's scared and like giving it back to them. But the whole game's a masterpiece. I don't care if you don't like what the content is. The mechanics of that game, especially for a stealth game, are like still uncharted with the suspense when it comes to killing somebody, because you can sneak up behind them and kill them right away, but you don't get a lot of points for that. So it's designed just to like keep you on edge, like the hairs on your arms sticking up. It's just a masterful horror story worthy of Stephen King or H.P. Lovecraft. Man, I just, you know, adapting that to the big screen, I would have like Rob Zombie all over it for like the grit and grimy and like trashy nature of it. He would fucking knock that out of the goddamn park, I think. So, as controversial as that game was, it inevitably spawned a sequel. And that's another topic, because I love that game too. I love the shit out of that game too. But we're talking about the original right now. We'll get to Manhunt too, because, man, that game's something else. It's like, it knows it's the sequel of that game, the original Manhunt. And the developers knew that too. It's like, what are we going to do with this? Well, you fuck around and make a PG or PG-13. Us fans will have your head. But at any rate, I just picked this topic, walked through the state and wetlands down here, you know, talking to you guys. Let me know, like, if you hate my guts because I like that game or whatever. But I still love you guys. Peace out.